All right, while we're having our little sit down moment, a little break here, a little water break, I just wanted to let you know that I am bringing my North Face day pack. I've got 3 of these, and this one here, I'm not sure if this one is called the Chameleon or not. Does it have a thing on the bottom of it?
No.
Okay, I'm not sure if this one, I do have one that's called the Chameleon. I'm not sure if this is the Chameleon also, but I got it years ago. And but this one here, what I usually do is I put what's called a butt pad in it. And I don't have my butt pad. Any of you that's seen my other videos, Sandra, can you open that up? And I usually put a butt pad, sometimes I'll put my water bladder. Here, open this one up. I can't do it with one hand. Here, I'll hold it. Oh, I don't have my water bladder in there. Sometimes I'll just keep it in there. And at any rate, my water bladder goes in here, and then I'll have a line that comes out and hooks on there, and that's how I usually get my water. If I'm doing like a really long hike, let's just say 10-12 miles, that'll be what I normally do. Now that's a lot of miles for me, but for if Sandra and I are doing a thread trail hike, sometimes I'll put the butt pads on each side here and strap them in. But today we're not bringing the butt pads because it didn't rain, and so and we knew that there were benches along the way here and there, and so
like sit on a rock or something.
Yeah, if you're sitting on a rock, that's good to have the butt pad, or if you don't want to get wet, that's good to have the butt pad. But we got 2 Nalgene bottles in here, 32 ounces apiece, and so we put them in the refrigerator overnight, and then we have some snacks right here. And so if you'll zip that up, I want to show them the inside of the other. This is the main compartment here. I keep some sunscreen, ibuprofen, of course my wallet, and then the keys are on this little hook here so I don't lose it, and then lighter, chapstick, hand cleaner, and of course tissues and toilet paper is right here for the obvious. You never know when you may ever have to go. If you gotta go, you gotta go. And so, but this hike, I knew that we were just gonna need mainly just water and some snacks. And so,
and your little keychain that Maddie made you.
Yeah, so my daughter made me this little thing on there, but I got a whole bunch of patches. I got a backpack, and I got a whole bunch of patches. Sandra has sewn some of the patches on. But I got a bunch of them that still needs to go on, and so not on this one, on my backpack, what I take backpacking.
I need to do it, take a day and do that.
Yeah, and so somebody at my old job gave me this little survival kit thing. It's got a compass on it, a whistle, and I think it's got a let me think on, yeah, if you want to make a fire, and like flint, you want to spark, that right there will create a spark. And so, but really cool. That right there in the middle, that right there in the middle, you scrape that against this metal piece and it makes a spark. And so really cool. Can you snap that down there? Thank you very much. Appreciate your assistance.
My lovely assistant.
Now here's a big boy. I mean, it is huge. through the last storm. We're within still the time frame of Helene when it came through. I'm assuming this came down about that time. And Sandra, stand next to the tree and then come near the root ball of it. I want to get a good scale of this. You guys can get a good, let you know how big this thing is. It's good size. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then you got a little home here. And that might have been part of the problem too. Yeah. Is that it was sort of rotting off. It don't
really tall.
Yeah, it's huge. But it don't look like the roots came out too much, but they just kind of just snapped. You get a lot of rain and then yeah, you get a lot of rain for several days and then put some wind behind something like this. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a house just beyond these trees right here. Right here, there's a house there, so there's a neighborhood. Shows you just how close this trail is to neighborhoods. If you'll notice on the map, I'll have it come up on the screen for you. This is where we're at. This is the first overpass of I-485. I-485. Now the end of the trail will be at the second one that we're gonna come to. And so, but this is the first one. And about how long?
We walked 1.8 miles as of right now from the kiosk here.
Okay, 1.8 miles, so almost 2 miles since the kiosk to here. That's the distance. You see a nest right here. Not really sure what type of bird that is. That's a pretty nest. Beautiful nest. You see another one? Yeah. There's another one right there. Maybe some type of swift or something. It looks like it's made of mud. It's kind of hardened up. Okay, we came from this direction here, and there's a walkway that goes through, but it does not lead to a neighborhood. We saw this sign here, and it says it's the mill race site. The mill race site. It's not an exit, and then the mill ruin site is just up that way some, and so we're going to take a look at that. But I'm going to go ahead and walk this mill race site. I'm not really sure why they call it a site. Maybe something used to be built here, and so I'm not really sure. Sandra, can you look it up and see if you can find anything on it? Mill race site. There's a bluebird. We were talking about bluebirds. We've had a couple bluebirds that's been making homes, a nest in the same spot underneath our carport at the house. And what it'll do is every time it raises, sometimes it'll raise, 2 chicks, and then they'll leave. And then what'll happen is, give it a couple days and they'll come right back, same nest. I don't clean out the nest, and they'll use the same nest and then have another family, and then they'll leave again. They'll leave again and then come back again. And I think they did that about 4 times this summer. And so bluebirds. And so, but I'm talking about skittish. You talking skittish now? You open up the front door and they'll fly out. And you just seem like they're so scared. Why don't they just take off and they don't come back? But no, they come back every time. Now, here is a kiosk here. It says the mill race, a mill race or ditch, carried water downhill from a holding pond to the mill where the water turned a large wheel. That wheel powered the grist stones, grinding grain to meal or flour. Look closely for a shallow ditch along the creek. This is the remnant of the mill race. It's easiest to see in the winter when the leaves have fallen. Okay, and I am here. And so I'm gonna have to make a right, and it's gonna be down this way, I guess. It says, so this is, I guess, what we're looking at right here. This is what a typical mill and raceway. And so the raceway would be, I guess, where the water's what they're talking about. Yeah. And so, yeah, the R is the race. So it's going down that way. It says, when Long Creek Mill was built, most people were farmers. They grew wheat and corn to feed their families. Grist mills ground wheat into flour and the corn into cornmeal, mainstays of daily cooking. There was a store and a cotton gin near the mill. Today's Hopewell Presbyterian Church on Beatties Ford Road and St. Mark's Episcopal Church on Mount Holly, Huntersville Road got started as part of that settlement. And so now Sandra and I, we mill our own flour. And so it's kind of wild because we can kind of get a respect for what they had going on there. But it says here, a target of British troops. The Long Creek grist mill ruins are the remains of the second mill built here. And so we're hoping to see that here in just a minute. The first mill was built by the enslaved for the Long family sometime before the Revolutionary War. And the mill was targeted by British forces in October of 1780 to provide grain and flour for the troops. But the Battle of the Hornets' Nest never reached the mill. The British were defeated at what is now the McIntyre Historic Site, 3 miles to the south. The fighting dislodged beehives or hornets' nest by some accounts, and the enraged insects fell in fury upon the soldiery, turning the tide of the battle. Isn't that something? You can see a monument to this battle at 5801 Beatties Ford Road. And so again, we'll check this out, and I'm gonna see if I can find what they're talking about. Okay, Sandra's waiting for me back that way. I went ahead and came off that little walkway there to see if I could see what they were talking about. Here's a creek that seems to match what's in that picture. And what's really wild is I can see minnow-sized fish in the water there swimming around. And but as far as the pond, they said it was best to see it in the wintertime when a lot of the leaves have fallen. But they said it was an indention. Now you can see this creek is following along here, and it's going. And so it keeps going up this way. And from what I'm gathering, I'm going to assume maybe somewhere out in here. They said it was an indention, and this right here is indented down, and it's supposed to be the pond where the water came out of and then came down. I don't know. It doesn't seem to match the drawing of the kiosk, because see, here's the walkway. Here's that where the kiosk is, up this way, and it shows you coming out and then going right, and then for a little ways. And guys, I'm just not seeing exactly what they're showing there. And this right here is so grown up. And when the hurricane came through a couple weeks ago, I mean, you can see where even in Charlotte, even though they didn't get even a scratch what the mountains got, still a lot of water came off that creek. And still you can see where the water took this over, and there's a lot of debris and stuff out here. And so I'm not going to chance it. The ground is all loppy-jawed, and so, but it looks like though this right here is an indented area. And so if that pond on the kiosk is right, it would be somewhere in this location is what it's showing, because there's a creek on the other side there. And so, but that's my best guesstimation. And so, but it's still kind of cool to see something or be in the area of something that was here so long ago. But I still think it's kind of wild, that Hornets in the Beehive story of how it turned the tide of the battle. I mean, just it's just bizarre. Well, let's see if we can see that ruin. I was kind of hoping to walk in the woods back here, but they said you could walk to it and get to the ruins that way. It's just, it's so grown up. I'm not even gonna do it. Sandra won't take that path anyway, so just to stay together, I'm gonna come out here because you can get to it also through this way.